Hi, I'm Harrison from Coding Kids, and welcome back to the second video in our GameMaker series, where we'll be creating a game that's really reminiscent of the old arcade game Asteroids. Last episode we created a player that can move around the screen and aim towards our mouse, and this episode we'll be creating projectiles for our spaceship that we can shoot at asteroids later.
So, here we are again in our workspace, and like last time when we created our player, the first step is to create another sprite in this episode to have the sprite of the projectile. So we right click on sprites, hit create, and it'll bring up an empty sprite. Name this SBR underscore projectile, just like that. And then we need to import an image so that our sprite actually has an image, so we'll hit import. And again, I'm using these pre-made assets that are available in the description. So if you don't have them already, you can download them or use your own. So I'll use that. And then using the drop down like last time, we'll just center the crosshair on the bullet. And the next step, like last time as well, was to create an object so that we actually have a projectile object that we can put in the room and can interact in the room. So we need to press right click on objects and hit create. This creates another empty object. You need to assign the projectile sprite to the object and then name this obj underscore projectile. So now that we have our projectile object, we need to give it some actual game code, some game logic. So we need to add a new event, and we need to add a create event. And this event triggers on, as the name suggests, the creation of this object. And what we will want from the object when it's created is we want it to be at the same point as the player, so it looks like it is being fired out of the player. So if you scroll down to movement in the blocks and use another jump to point, we want to set the X and the Y of the point where it jumps to be that of the player object. So what we can do, there's a little bit of inbuilt code for GameMaker. We can use obj underscore player and then put a dot and an X, and then it auto-filled there, obj underscore player, and for y dot y, and then, oh, sorry, obj player dot y, and now we should find that when a bullet is created, it will start where the player is. So now we have our bullets being created in the right place. We need to make sure that they have a speed and a direction when they are made, or they'll just sit there and do nothing. So first of all, we're going to have a set point direction, which is down here in movement. We've used this before. We can drag this block out and put it here. And like our player, we want to make sure our bullet object is facing towards the mouse. So if you remember what we did last time, we used mouse underscore X, and for Y, we used mouse underscore Y. So now our bullet object will be created facing where the mouse is. And then now all we need to do is give it a speed. So we can drag this set speed block out, which is in movement. It looks like 3 arrows. Pull this out, put it below. And we'll give it a speed that's faster than the player because that makes sense. We'll add like speed 8. And that's all we need to do for our actual projectiles. Now we need to make sure that our player is actually creating these projectiles. So if we double click on our object player in the resources tab, it'll bring us back over here and we need to navigate back to the step event. Now we need to be checking when the left mouse button is being pressed in because that's when we're going to create our bullets. So if you go into the mouse and keyboard section, there's a block called if mouse down. And if you pull this out, put that below, you can see the selected button is mouse button left. So this is going to check if our left mouse button is pressed in, and it's going to do, if that is true, whatever we put to the right of it. Now in our case, we want to be creating projectiles. So if you go into the instances section of these blocks, you find one that looks like a light bulb and you can drag this out. Now if you hold it to the right, you can see it highlights this kind of bar here, which indicates that it is going to do, it is going to link that as a condition of when the mouse is pressed in. Whereas if you put it down here, it'll just go after it has checked this and run the code to the right. So we want to make sure we put it in here, over to the right. And you can see if you do it correctly, a green line should join these two blocks. Now, in this create instance block, we need to actually specify what it's creating. So we can use this square kind of button here, press on that, and then assign it the projectile. So now if we test the game, we'll find that we can move around, aim towards the mouse, and fire projectiles. So once this compiles, here we are. Now we can move around, aim,